Hello, welcome to Brian Jaques, Rakkity Tam, Chapter 21. There is a sword and a little animal. It's been a while, guys, but I'm back. Let's read Chapter 21 together. Despite the last-moment rush, the buffet lunch went off smoothly. Glissum's prediction proved correct, with every beast seating themselves in a broad, sun-warmed steps which fronted the Abbey building main door. Formal and gruffly remarked how humble, who is the Abbey, as they shared a pasty. Stan Olby tunnel zer oil never sir oit looking at me Olof. Them be here's be Gert Vickers. The abbot watched Corporal Wapscott wolfing his way through a mound of salad and swigging pale cider furiously. Indeed, they don't seem to stint themselves at mealtimes. Perishly scoffing, I've heard them call it, and I remember in old Friar Frudel's time, he used to say, I'm sooner feed a hare half a day than a full season. Frutal certainly had a point there. Tam and Doogie brought their laden platters from the table and sat beside Armel and Brookie. The border warrior dipped a grilled chestnut in melted cheese and bit into it. No wonder you like Abbey life, Armel. The lunch is superb. Infirmary's sister sipped her beaker of plum cordial. I'm glad you like it. That's what's the matter with your friend there. Doesn't he like company? Torgan was perched on a dormitory windowsill, making inroads to a sizable slice of pear flan. Doogie nodded to the goshawk's direction. Och, he cannot get away from the wee ones. As soon as your Dibbins found out he was wasn't got to eat them, then they all wanted to play with him. Tam took up the matter with the goshawk with Armel. I don't know how Turgan got up there. He was an injured wing. See, when that flaps down on his side, he was wounded by a vermin arrow. I was wondering, Armel, with your knowledge of herbs and healing, could you do anything for him? 'Tis a sad thing to see a bird like bobbing about, unable to fly. The pretty sister readily agreed. Indeed it is. Bring him up to the infirmary later. I'll see what I can do. You do travel in some odd company, Tam. A wounded hawk and a thief. By the way, I haven't seen Euphis about. Where do you suppose he's got to? Sitting close by, Brother Gordo could not help overhearing the conversation. He tapped Tom's shoulder. Pardon me, but I saw the water boil ye call Euphis. As soon as lunch was served, he filled himself a platter and went off down to the south wall. Mayhaps he's a trifle bashful around others. Doogie questioned the mouse gatekeeper. He was carrying a bundle and a sword like mine, sir? Gordell thought for a moment. Oh, yes, it was actually. The gatekeeper got no further. Tam and Doogie were off and running down after the south wall. He was trying to steal the sword. When Doogie saw the small south wicker gate hanging ajar, he stamped his footpaw. All I knew it, the saucy wee robber. He's made off with your sword, claymore, and a flag. And I'd love to get my paws on that thieving rascal. Tam closed the wicker gate and bolted it. So would I, mate, but he's long gone now. I'll find him sooner or later, and I'll mend his thieving ways with him. I just hope he doesn't fall into the clutches of Gulo and his vermin. You wouldn't wish that on any beast, not even a thief. Oh well, back to lunch, Mr. Plum. The small Highlander shook his head in mock sadness. Dearie me, 'tis a hard, sore life we lead, Tam, and a wonderful what supper gonna be like, eh? After lunch, Tam and Doogie were called to the gatehouse, where the brigadier, Sergeant Onewill, Abbot Hubble, Fundamon Armel awaited them. Sister Armel and Skipper met them at the door. The Otter Chieftain nodded briefly to Tam. What's all this about, matey? Tam ushered from the inside. Council of War, probably. Consul waved his dagger stick at the border warrior. Well, guess what, McWell? That's exactly what it is. We can't rest on silent red wall, eating things, good creatures out of house and home, with 100 of the perishing four-beasts wandering in the woodlands outside. Bad form, what? Humble settled both paws into wide sleeves. So, Brigadier, what action do you propose? Crumsaw looked at the broad linen sling which was holding his wounded shoulder. Not a jolly great lot I could do with this blinking thing hampering me. I was hoping for some sensible suggestions. Vermal Domain pawed at his long rapier hilt. I say, we march out tomorrow and give the blighters a spot of good old long patrol blood and vinegar, sir. The brigadier watched Tam closely. And what do you suggest, bucko? Tam had his answer ready. Well, I'd say we're pretty evenly matched against the vermin as regarding numbers, but we might out to find them and fight him. That leaves the abbey unprotected, so we need a proper plan. One will tapped Furtimal's ear. I hope you're listening, young blood and vinegar. There's experience talking for you. He winked at Tam. My apologies for me interrupting, sir, but I could tell you had a plan. Tam outlined his suggestion to the group. First, we got to split the patrol. Half to stay here and defend Redwall. They'll be commanded by Brigadier. Doogie and I will take the others out and fight the vermin. Sister Mel looked alarmed at the suggestion, but Tam, you should outnumber 2 to 1, and those vermin are vicious brutes. Humble chided her mildly. Don't be so hasty, sister. Hear him out first, you were saying, Tam. The warrior scroll continued. I'm not talking about meeting Golo and his mob head on in a charge. We'll use hit-and-run tactics, small, swift raids, picking the enemy off in a few at a time, never stopping in one place for long. We'll be like hornets stinging on a great beast, then disappearing, always drawing them further away from the abbey. Crumshaw rapped the table with his stick. A capital, sir. Doggo jolly well we. Hit him where it hurts and vanish like smoke. That's the ticket. What? Tam outlined his strategy further. Aye, but I need some beast who knows the territory like the back of his paw to help us, skipper. The burly otter nodded. Aye, mate. What do you want to leave for this little jaunt? Tam pondered for a moment before answering. I think the best time would be late tonight, while the supper is still being held. We'll slip out by the east wall gate. One thing, though, the hares will have to leave their regimental tunics behind. Father, do you think you could lend them something to wear? Stuff that wouldn't stand out so brightly in the woodlands? Humble rose from his armchair. I'll have a word with Formal Bruffy. He knows about that sort of thing. The meeting broke up. Crimshaw and Will stayed behind to go through the roster and decide who would go with Tam and who would stay at Redwall. Tam and Doogie helped Armel to entice the goshawk and treated the infantry. Turgan expressed reluctance to have his injured wing attended to. No, wing get better by itself, bro. No go to infirmary. Have knives up there. Cut this birdie's wing off. Armel decided the best tactic was ridicule. Well, dearie me, you great big dibbin. Ha ha ha, Brigadier Crumsall had a worse wound than yours, and he got treated without a murmur. I've never used a knife to cut any beast. I'm here to heal, not to injure. Right, Doogie? The small hand agreed. Aye, right, lassie. If you're on feather bang, too feathered to be even better, what can you do, eh? Tam winced at the hawk's powerful talons latched onto his paw. Turgan glanced icily at Doogie and Armel. Your hawk, take this bird to the infirmary, bro. What? Goshawk proved to be a worthy patient. He perched up on the bed and nibbling on candied chestnuts, which Armel kept a bag jar for the Dibbins patients. As the sister worked on the goshawk's wings, she explained to Tam the significance of the sword she had given him. Have you seen the picture of Martin the warrior on the tapestry in Great Hall? Tam passed Armel the bowl of verbena water, so he had requested. Oh, he looks like a mighty warrior, no wonder too, with a sword like this. The sister cast a quick glance at the sword, which had seldom left Tam's side since he had been in charge of it. Then she proceeded with her account to the warrior squirrel. It was a countless season since the days of Martin, but his legend and the great sword lives on. We learned at Abbey School that the hilt of the sword was one which originally belonged to Luke, Martin's father. A badger lord named Boar the Fighter made the blade in his forge in Salmastoton, and it is said that the metal came from a fallen star. There is no steel keener or stronger than that blade. The sword of Martin the warrior belongs to Redwall Abbey and must always return here, though at special times an outstanding warrior
may be chosen to wield it when danger threatens us. Martin appeared to me in a dream, proclaiming that you were the one he had chosen, Tam."
Doogie selected a candied chestnut mournfully.
"Ooch, and you say you're Martin denying me and me lassie?"
Tam picked up the sword, swinging it in a flashing arc. He clapped the candied chestnuts that his friend was holding neatly in half. He twirled the blade back and forth, watching the sunlight from the window playing along its edges as it cleaved the air.
"Great seasons of slaughter, what a weapon! The balance, the lightness, the way it fits in my paw. I could face any woman armed with this sword."
Armel raked Doogie's paw as he reached for another chestnut.
"Mr. Plume, those are only for injured Dibbins."
Tiergan crackled as he grabbed another from the jar.
"Caw, and a wounded bird who be not feared."
The banquet supper that evening was a splendid affair. Redwaller sat, cheek by joy with long patrol hairs, chattering and laughing as they did justice to the culinary triumphs of Friar Glissom and some of the Burlap's best-seller produce. The centerpiece was a huge Mettercream trifle, garlanded with pink rosebeds and almond icing. Soups, dips, and salads took the border of the table. Behind them came pasties, turnovers, tarts, and flans. Closer in were the crumbles and the cakes. As each course was completed, the dishes were removed and the next course brought forward. Burlap presided over the side trestle with the line in the drinks, from October ale to pale cider, to cordials and squashes, with mint and ferment herb teas. Even the ravenous hares were sated for a while, yet there were plenty left, and always new dishes being ferried by helpers from the trolleys. A variety of entertainment was provided by numerous of the banquet attendances. A mole did a magic trick, and the trio of mousemaids danced in the integral reel, which involved weaving multicolored ribbons into a pale circle. Then a party of Dibbins performed a high-kicked jig, their little faces screwing up and concentrating as every beast called out encouragement to them. During a lull in the tankards, songs coming up were being refilled. Tam and Doogie obliged with a sword dance from their northern home. They received great applause, but to warm some enthusiastic Dubins about to attempt to initiated them. Banging their tankards on tabletops, the long patrol called to Wanwill and Crumshaw.
"I say, so how about you and Sarge giving us a ballad?"
"Yes,
give us that jolly one about Algie and Bobs.
Boobs. Hey, clear the floor there, and the brigadier and the sergeant, give order, please, you chaps." Crumshaw and Wanwill got up and marched to the delight of the younger hearers. They sang an old Semastrodon barrack room ballad, waltzing about the paw and paw with a dignified air.
"Old Alligator and Bobs and me received an official call to attend ASAP at the regiment ball, togged up in our best. Weren't we a sight to see, combed and brushed and polished, old Alligator and Bobs and me. Honor and brew to your partners, chaps of the long patrol. Whirl and cut and twirl your hair as round the floor we roll. All the pretty ladies looking for company, and didn't we oblige them? Old Algie and Bobs and me." Refreshments were served, and Bob sipped on a flan. He bumped the colonel's daughter head first into a pan. Then Algie slung and Puddin' hid the major's bride-to-be, and the sergeant fired a crumble, and Algie and Bob and me. "Oh, pass me a trifle smartly, with a cherry on top for luck." It smacked the quartermaster. He was bowled out for a duck. Lathered in cream and howlin', "Arrest those boobin' three." He wound up in the guardhouse. Old Algie and Bobs and me. Thank you. Finished with a swirl and a flourish and a brigadier, and the sergeant bowed and curtsied to hoots and applause from the rankers. The banquet continued as Foreman Bruffrey signaled to Skipper, Garments, you asked for bees ready and ye kickens are." Those who had been picked excused themselves and went to get kitted out. Shortly after they emerged, clad in simple short smocks and subdued brown and green. Their blades had been smoke blackened over fire by Friar Glissom.
Brigadier Crumsaw looked them over. "Stat me, ye look like a right old crew of rogues. What?" One will saluted. "Begging your pardon, sir, but they got out for no dress parade." With this good arm, Crumsaw clasped his faithful servant's paw firmly. "Let's hope they come back safe, what?" Tam's 50 hares took a moment to bid goodbye to their comrades and friends, and they all made at Redwall. "Well, toodly pip, old lad, and chin up, what?" "Ah, you lucky toads have to go hard and stomping back here and scoffing and all the supper and grub, eh? Well, we be thinking of you. Give 'em a few bits for us, will ya?" Kersey, who had been sitting in the background, presented Furtimal and Dauncey's sling and pebble bag. "Take this along with you and watch out for yourself." He bowed gallantly. "I'll be looking out for you when I come back, if I may." A faint smile creased Chrissy's lips. "Thank you, Mr. Dimmer. That would please me." Armel gave Tam a small snatchel. "This is a few herbs and dressings in case you're wounded, Tam." He winked at the pretty squirrel maid. "I'll use them to bandage up Doogie's mouth if he starts grumbling. Stay safe now and don't worry about me." The border warrior turned to salute the brigadier. "All pleasant and correct, sir. Ready to move off." Crumsaw smiled at Tam. "I knew I could count on you, McBurn. Right forward the bluffs, and what? True blue, and never fail. That's the ticket." Skipper tweaked Brooky's nose lightly. "Behave yourself now, missy. Don't you go whooping and laughing and upsetting every beast while I'm gone." The otter maid hugged her uncle tightly. "Right ho, Skip. I'll cry in the night and keep 'em all awake until you get back." Brother Girdle opened up the east wicker gate, patted each one on the back as they strolled off silently into the night-shrouded woodlands. He bolted the door shut, remarking to Sister Screeve, who had accompanied him, "Well, they go. Luck and fortune go with them." The recorder mouse shuddered, drawing her cloak close. "Thank the seasons that Redwall has such brave allies." Love you guys. Please like and subscribe. Talk to you later. Bye.